everyone, my name is Sandra and welcome to my channel. Today my video is going to be about sewing a bag, so if you think that's something you'd be interested in, I'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. So this is the bag pieces we'll be working on today. We're going to use, this is the back and front panel. This is the gusset, these two. This is the front zipper pocket. And this is the pocket for the inside, and these are the two zippers. And this is the bag. It's not the one we'll be making today, but it'll be just like this. So there's a front zipper pocket that opens, and you can see on the inside, a little zipper pocket. And then right here, there's a pocket that opens. And there's a pocket in there, and then the bag is binded. It's just a cute little bag, and it can be a fanny pack or just a bag. I'm just gonna make a bag just like this. So right here I have the front zipper pocket, and I'm going to work on that. So I've actually marked my centers. I just folded them, and then I nipped them right there. And right there, I made sure that I have centers. I'm going to take this piece. I've already found the centers of my zipper. I'm going to line this up. Face down. And then the zipper's facing up. I'm going to flip it over. Now the zipper's facing down. I'm going to line this back piece up with the center. And I know that because I've already marked it. Line this up. Line this up. And then this is the bottom part of the zipper panel. Here in a minute we'll line that up with the bottom. Now I'm at my machine, and I'm going to sew this, holding my threads, back stitching. Then I fold it out, and I'm going to top stitch along that edge there. There's that. I'm going to do the same thing for the back. Add my back piece right in the centers. Face down, zipper facing up. Face down, find the center. Folding my threads. Back stitching at the beginning and the end. Raising my needle to the up position. Trimming threads. I fold it out. Making sure the back and the front are both folded out. And then I'm going to top stitch. Keeping my threads out. Raising my needle up, trimming my threads. There it is. Here I'm going to put on a zipper pull. Try to line up the long edge and put the long edge on first and then put the shorter edge on. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There it is, zipper on. And I've got mine going to the right, so closes to the right, opens to the left. That's just my preference. Now I'm going to work on my second zipper for the gusset. I've already clipped those in the center, so I folded them in half and I clipped them on the top and the bottom so I'd know where center is. Same thing on this piece, same thing on these pieces. And then I'm just going to line them up on my zipper. Zipper up, this part down, line up in the center, clip it on. Turn it over, lay this face down, find the center, and then I'll take this over to my machine, sew it. Back stitch. Raise my needle, trim the threads. I'll fold it back, front and back, and then I'm going to top stitch. I leave my stitch length the same, but you can change it. Just trimming those little threads that are left on the ends. And now I'm going to take the rest of the gusset. I'm going to line it up because I've already marked my centers. I'm going to pin it in place. I'll turn it over, take this piece face down, line up those centers, clip it in place. Do the same thing. We're going to sew it and then top stitch. Back stitch. Raise the needle, trim the threads, and now we're going to fold this back, and we're going to top stitch. Now we'll put the zipper pulls on again. And I'm going to do one from the right and one from the left. So there'll be one on each end. See how that's crooked? I'm going to take it back off. Try to get it right. Both. I want it even on the ends, hopefully. Like that. To the other end. It's crooked. Still crooked. There it is. Got it. Those zippers. And once I get the zippers on, I'll cut these off even. And I'll do the same thing on this piece. That's my front panel. I'm just going to take the rotary cutter and cut that off. Cut this end off. And then I'm going to burn that zipper. So it doesn't fray. And then I'm going to take the front and back gusset, and I've got my hardware. I'm going to put this on the end, fold it in half. I'm going to line it up with my zipper. I'm going to pin it in place. Do the same thing with the other one. Line it up with this end. Pin it in place. And then I'm going to take my lower gusset, and I'm going to lay it on top. So right here, I'm going to line the top gusset up with the bottom gusset. I'm going to pin that in place, or clip it in place, rather. I'm going to do it on both ends. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to add the back face down, line it up, clip it in place. Same thing on this end. Line it up, clip it in place. And that's going to be my gusset. And I'm going to take it over to the machine, and I'm going to sew a 3/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to mark it. Now we're back at the machine, and it was a 3/8 inch seam allowance, not a 3/4. So I'm going to back stitch. And I'm going to go slow across this zipper. I'm just going to back stitch over that just to reinforce it a little bit. Cut those threads and do the same thing on the other end. Trim those ends, and you can flip it out. And that's your gusset. You can top stitch these ends down, which is what I'm going to do. Trim those threads. Do the same thing on the other end. Threads. And that's my gusset right there. And it's got my strap connectors on there. So now I'm at my regular machine, and I'm going to sew this little pocket. So what I've done is I've taken the two pieces and I'm going to sew them together, because I kind of want my pocket lined. The pattern doesn't call for that, but I'm doing it anyway. Back stitch, cut my threads, and then I'm going to flip it over like that, and I'm going to top stitch it. You could take it and press it right now, but I'm just going to finger press it, try to. And I'm going to top stitch it. And then I'm going to line it up on this from the bottom. This is a piece of the front and back panel, but this is going to be the inside portion. I'm going to put it facing up on the right side like that, facing up. And then I'm just going to sew around it. And that's going to create a pocket. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Trim my threads. And then I'm going to sew down the center. Like that. Trim the threads. Now I have two pockets, one on this side and one on this side. These are the front and back panels. I'm going to line those up just like that. And I'm going to take the pocket that I just made, I'm going to line that up with the center. So I've got front and back panel, wrong side up. And I'm going to line up the two wrong sides, wrong side to wrong side. And I'm going to put clips around it. Same thing on this one, wrong side to wrong side. Center's lined up. And I'm going to take these to the machine and I'm going to sew around them. Same thing on this one, sew around it. Okay, we're at the machine. We're just going to sew around these. Just doing a little seam allowance right now, just to kind of sew around these edges. I forgot to bring my front pocket over here. So let me grab that real quick. It's this one with the zipper on it. I got to cut these ends off. And then I'm going to burn these ends so my zipper doesn't fray. And then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it on this front panel like this. Just something I didn't do. And I'm lining it up with the top because sometimes it doesn't line up at the bottom. So I'm going to line it up at the top. And then I'll trim off the bottom. And then I'm going to sew all the way around it. And the reason that it didn't line up correctly is because I didn't use the right seam allowance on my zipper, but I like the seam allowance that I used, so it's fine with me. I fixed it, and so I'm just going to do a small seam allowance here because I've got to put the gusset on here in a minute. Trim the threads. That's my front and back piece. It opens like that. Inside pocket. Now I'm going to take it back over the table and I'm going to put my clips on my gusset. Okay, so this is my front panel, my gusset, and I've got those centers marked. I'm just going to line it up in the center, and I'm going to start pinning around it, or clipping around it rather. So you just put your clips around in here. Around this corner, you may have to clip a little bit on those edges if it doesn't. So you just take your scissors and you just nip it a little bit, clip it so that it'll lay in there nice and neat. You're just gonna clip it, and you're gonna continue to clip all the way around it until you get all the way around. And once you get it clipped all the way around, like that, then you're going to take it to the machine and you're going to sew it. As you can see, clipped all the way around. I'm going to start up here and hope for the best. We shall see. Back stitch. Hold on one second. Okay, so I have a pair of I don't know what they're called, but anyway, I normally would hold this with that, and I can't find them. So I just grab these pair of pliers, and I'll just hold that like that and come around it to keep it from shifting on me. Trim my threads, and then I'm going to turn it out and check it to make sure I've got all these corners and everything turned out like I wanted it to. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That looks really nice. It turned out really nice. So I'm going to flip it back out, and I'm going to go get the back piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. So here I am back at the table, and I'm going to clip this all the way around. This one's not as crucial because on this front one, I tried to line those up. That one's a little off, and so was that one, but you know. I'm sure it's a sewer's error. Me, I'm the error. Once I get all these clipped, we're going to take it back to the machine and sew it up. Okay, we're back at the machine, and we're going to stitch around this. and then I'll turn it out. Okay, here's the bag all turned out. Got a little pocket right here. And then the inside of the bag. And it has 2 pockets right here. And then it's the back of the bag. But here in just a second, I'm going to turn it back out and I'm going to do the binding. So all this has to be binded around the edges. So I'll do that next. And then we'll turn the bag out again. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I'm not the best at binding. And I've got this set up and ready to go. So we'll see how it goes. Doesn't always turn out right because I'm not the best at binding, but I'm learning. So my nephew always tells me this is easy. We worked in a factory together and he did the binding and he always says this is easy. And I'm like, yeah, okay. It helps if you keep the binding going straight and not crooked so that it covers all your stitches. But mine's probably not going to, but that's okay. I'm coming back to the other end now. That's a plus. Let's cut some of this off. Cut my threads off. And when I come around, I can join those 2 pieces maybe. Hopefully. And then I'm going to raise my needle, pull this out, and I'm going to cut that. And I left a little bit on the ends, and I can fold that, and then I can take it to the other machine and just sew that a little bit. But this is my binding, as you can see. It's not perfect, but it'll work, huh? And this is an attachment that I bought to go on this machine. So here's the attachment. And then this is just one of those little cake spinners. And I laid my roll on top of that and it spins as we go. Okay, here it is. I went ahead and finished the binding off camera. And I just folded that under and I sewed across it so that it would look closed. And I'm going to burn these threads here. Same thing on this side. But as you can see, I bind it all the way around, the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to flip it out. That's the front of the bag. And then this is the back of the bag. The corners and stuff are all nice and neat. Same with the top, just all pressed out, looks nice. And then it's got the 2 zips on top. Zip it closed. The pocket in the front. Inside. Now all I have to do is make the strap and connect it, and the bag is finished.